Greetings, viewer. Ran into something here. So I was coding a little project that I've got going on with a PowerShell module. It's up on my GitHub. This is my GitHub. It's my Jackal MTG repo. And I've been working on this update TCG pricing. This is a rather involved function. It definitely, I think, fits the grounds for advanced function. Before I dive into the code, I also want you to see that there is this JSON file, which sets up some background parameters. That is out of date, so you even get to see how I personally, at least, upload my files. So I've been making some changes here. So this is just going to say update JSON PRM file. I'm going to commit those changes. GitHub's going to take a few seconds. Compare. Oh, boom. Now, hey, look at all these more settings. I'm testing out a 20% discount on any cards in my inventory. We'll see once I get to the code. That JSON parameter is actually updatable on the fly when you run this code. If you're not familiar with PowerShell, this is not the place to be diving in. As I mentioned earlier, this is an advanced function, so no rookies. If you are a rookie, you're welcome to continue watching, but just know this video really isn't tailored to explaining this because the actual piece of information is a little bit farther down that has to do more with just general debugging. So this function named update TCG pricing has one parameter called discount. So on the fly when I'm running this, because this is not a mandatory parameter, I can set any discount I want from 0 to 100, and then I'll talk through once I get to it. It actually then converts whether if it's within the 0 to 1 scale or if it's the 0 to 100 scale. Right here it looks, can we find this parameter file? If nope, it throws an error. Otherwise it goes, grabs that content, converts it from JSON. Now I can just load in each of those, the downloads directory, the updates directory, the updated directory, and then the usual discount. For any of those directories, which that's kind of annoying me now that I see path versus directory. Yeah, well, build this little array, send it into a for each loop, checks. Can I find each of those? If not, throw an error. Now look, what's the shipping cost? What's the minimum price that I'm willing to list a card at? If neither one of those are not established, throw an error. Then it checks for the now set. If the now set is not initiated, throw an error. So a lot of, here we are on line 48, and all I've been doing is error checking. Technically still not done with error checking. Holy, here at line 55, another. If it can't even find the file that it needs to load, throw an error. Okay, all the error checking is now complete. So it checks, was discount set as a variable from the parameters block? If not, use the JSON parameter discount. Then here, this write host is debatable. I could have used a write information just to help kind of label which stream to be in. But this is my own personal thing. I'm, write to the host. I don't care. This is kind of your equivalent to console.log for any JavaScript fans out there. And then it imports the CSV file, just bringing all of that data here into this variable. Check the multiplier. So essentially this would be like a discount of 0. And then here, if the discount is above 100, just throw an error, because we can't, I'm not going to offer a discount above 100%. It wouldn't make any sense. You're going to offer your cards at a 120% discount. That is people paying, that is you paying people to take your cards. Not advisable as a business. If the discount is greater than 1, well, then we need to divide by 100 to get it in the range of 0 to 1. So now if the discount still exists, let's consider it as the multiplier instead. Otherwise, discount just gets reset down to 0. Now the write verbose, this is a really useful command to where now it will only show if you add the -verbose flag when you run it. But in order for that to run, you need this Cmdlet binding up at the top. All kinds of weird little tricks here with advanced functions that you'd fall on landmines if you didn't know they were there. Personally, I do not like the way TCG labels their fields from the CSV file. So I have to run this little conversion hash to say that, this shorter, much nicer name, at least to me, translates to their product name. Spaces are evil. When possible, avoid spaces in a CSV header line. Just again, so kind of some letting the user know what's going on. Here's the meat and potatoes of the actual script. What's the actual functionality of what this thing does? So for each card in my inventory list, I establish some variables, what the card name is, what the market price is, what the low market price is, what set it's coming from, and then how many cards are in my current quantity. So I go up here, TCG hash quantity. Quantity translates to total quantity, because through this process that I run, you can actually add cards to your inventory in a CSV upload. I have it here so that if card quantity is 0, it just skips that card in the list, moves on to the next one. If it can't find a market price for the card, skip it. Write a warning, just say, hey, there's no market price found for this card. Skip. Discount price. So now we're finally getting to where got to make some decisions on how to price this card. So I'm going to run a floor function, multiply it by 100 just to get it into this weird range so that floor will only floor to integers. So like things can get weird fast. So it's just safer practice I found. Just multiply by 100, like whatever decimal place of precision you want, whether it's, in terms of, US dollars, you want to the penny. So the 100th of a dollar. If for some reason you're keeping track of .xxx, 3 decimal places, you do this times 1,000, then divide by 1,000 after the floor. Multiplier, establish that up there. It's really just the 1 minus the discount. And then whatever the market price is. So if a card is selling on TCG Market for $3 and I want a 20% discount, then 20%, so 1 minus 20% is 80%. 80% times that $3 would be $2.40. And then this just does the fancy trick of if there would have been a weird fraction, this just floors. So like let's say it would have come to, 2.407. I don't really care about those 7/10 of a cent, just floor it to 2.40. Now we've got some other minimum checks because I don't want to be the lowest listing for a card on TCG Market. So this is just checking between the discounted price and the TCG Market price. Is that what it's checking? So if check price is lower than... Oh, my bad. So this is checking my minimum price. So if either one of these prices is below my 50 cents from above, it'll flash a warning. Now, it's only going to flash one. Technically, it would only ever flash... If these both flag, it'll just let me know that the market value is less, not just the discounted one. I could easily rearrange that just by flipping the order, because here it just saves. Oh, I haven't updated this yet, so this actually still would flash both. I made a recent change to this, and that's okay. Well, here I can pull it up. So in GitHub right now, it doesn't know about this lovely little switch that I made. So instead, I set warning to a null variable, and then if the check price is less than the minimum price, it just saves in my warning variable the message, resets the discount price or the market price, whatever, based on which check type was running. And then once those are both run, if the warning is not null, so if that warning got assigned, flash the warning. So because of how these are ordered, it would only ever flash that, hey, the market price is less than the minimum price, so we're just setting it to your minimum price. Really, yeah, this probably should even be, if I hold Alt, it'll flip those, and now I need to rearrange my comma. Because really, it checks if somehow the discount, because usually the discounted price is going to be less than the market price, unless I'm running a discounted 0% off, which isn't that just rude of me? So if The discounted price has dropped below my minimum threshold. This will flash me a warning that says card name would have had a either discounted or TCG market price of, insert check price, but the minimum of whatever was actually it's just was used instead. Used just feels a little more English friendly. All right, so that writes that warning. I guess I'll continue here, and then I'll show how I already showed that. So I'll just have another one where I commit another change. Then I look if the card is in the current set, the now set for Magic the Gathering, you don't get a discount. You are paying market price because when a set is still new, market prices are so volatile. Volatile, I'm borrowing from a stock market term here. They are just so up and down. They are whipsawing back and forth that you got to kind of pay the premium. I'm taking the risk here to put a $2 card up that might jump to $5 in a week. And you got to buy it for $2. You really don't need that extra 20% off. Now, also the risk, again, volatility is synonymous for risk. I might be listing a $5 card that's going to drop to $2 in a week. You bit the bullet and bought early. Sorry. So I'm using the risk. I'm removing the discount to save myself the risk of the $2 card jumping to $5. And you kind of need to be patient as the buyer, not to buy a $5 card that might drop to $2. And that's rough. It truly is brutal. Now I get to look, what's going to be the new price that I list on TCG Player? So the new price is going to be the max of either the target price, which I just assigned right here, or the TCG low price minus my shipping costs. Because how TCG compares, it bundles in your assigned store shipping cost with your marketplace price. And just to kind of do some apples to apples, I just want whichever is higher. Like if my target price is the higher price, cool. If there's like a lower price listed already, like let's say for example there's a $35 card, and so 20% off $35, you'd be subtracting away $7, so $28. But the lowest listing on TCG Player is only $31. Well, it doesn't really benefit me to low bid everybody by $3. All that's going to do is potentially add another data point to the TCG algorithm that says, oh, maybe the market value for this card isn't actually $35. Maybe the market value needs pulled down a little bit. I don't want to be pulling down the value of my own inventory. I'm not incentivized. I'm decentivized to do such a wild thing. So, little check here quick. Always assign the maximum. Never go below what's the lowest listing. You can match the lowest listing. We're cool with that. But don't drop below that. Then in my little, in this custom object that's being built, the variable card, reassign the price to my new price. So now this is actually the very end. I'm going to add that, actually, end of block. Actually, it's a loop. End of loop for each card in inventory. So technically that is not what is running here. It's actually card in inventory list. All right. It's a big one, so go ahead and use that. Control S to save. Then we assign a date stamp, what the file name is going to look like. I assume I'm never going to need more than 5 versioning changes, so fingers crossed I never hit above F, version F. I don't know why I'm updating prices 5 times a day, but it feels like a fail at that point if I've got 5 of them. This is just a real quick do while loop to make sure that I'm not clobbering any existing file. Joins the updates directory with the updates file name. Lets the user know that I'm exporting them. Actually export them. And then here's just, I was told once or heard once, read once, saw once that with any function you should have some sort of output. Don't just have a a dead function that did it run, didn't it run? So I use this little result custom object to say what the file name was supposed to be, and then check, did it actually create? And then if it didn't, throw me an error that lets me know that, hey, it failed. Otherwise, it will remove the TCG exported file. It will open up my updates directory because I keep right here it is. So I've already run this once or twice for some testing purposes. So it currently has the updated pricing. And once I actually make the update on the TCG website, I want to move this to there. So just as a little reminder, I open up that folder in Windows Explorer, and then it writes out this custom object so that I know what was the file name that I created and did it even create. If I run .creation, it'll say yay or nay. And then here's some just commented stuff that if I would ever want to give some aliases, end with a dummy line. Okay, so go in here quick, run an update, add file, upload files, choose them. So I've made some new changes here, mostly cosmetic. Technically, because again, even that was just cosmetic. And now, just like that, we can go down here to, yep, and TCG market is now above the discounted. Before I uploaded this, really should have checked to make sure that it was going to work correctly. And the whole reason I even was running this, so I debugged, I noticed that there was this annoying little grammatical mistake in one of my write warnings. Typically, I don't want to see a write warning. Warnings are things you want to avoid most often when you're writing software. When you are writing code, warnings are kind of bad to be avoided. And you can see here that for an English speaker, so this part is the card name. Arasta of the Endless Web would have. Well, there's supposed to be a space there. And that is a very simple fix. In the write warning, so which warning would that have been? So would have a TCG market price of 48.48, but the min of 0.5 was set instead. So here I can find, so right here, this space wasn't there. Now it is. So if let me clear the screen. So CLS is an alias for, I believe it's clear host. Just make sure real quick. It is. So I want to import Jackal MTG. I have to force the import because right now Jackal MTG is already running in this session. So I'm going to force the, oh, okay. Apparently I've never used the alias import for import module. So I've forced that. We're going to clear the screen, make it look good. I'm going to run update, TCG pricing. We're going to use the dash verbose switch using current set of streets when it kind of failed to locate. So right now there is no file here for it to run against. So that is a big problem. So let me grab this, post it to my downloads folder. So now it should have a file, and it did. And then it opened up my updates directory, and much better. Would have a discounted price of 38, but the min of 50 was used instead.